Yeah.
So you ready to just hop into it?
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ayoo Chill podcast. It's another week, and you already know I got another artist for you sitting in the chair today.
Yes, sir.
My boy, take a couple seconds, minutes, let the people know who you are and where you're from.
My name is Ethan Ross.
I worked in the Livingston Mall because I used to work for Cinnabon.
Oh, yeah.
And the owner who was there, did you frequent Livingston Mall at all? Like,
Oh, man.
maybe like 4 or 5 years ago?
I've been there recently. I still go there.
Word. I used to work because there used to be a Cinnabon in the food court, but now it's
Yeah.
closed down because I think we closed. Actually, I'm actually the manager who broke down to the staff there that we were closing down. But it was bad, dude. Like I told them, I was like, "Yo, we got like 3 days before you guys close down."
I would have never thought that after being there so many times that like you were there. I might have seen you.
Yeah, I
Recognized
worked there for a little bit, like when they had like managers who couldn't come in.
Yeah.
I was also in charge of some of their closing process, and that was terrible, dude. Oh my god, dude. Like I literally told these guys, I'm like, you're not gonna have a job in a week, and then I proceeded to go into their store.
They
and
didn't
start
have enough
taking
time to
things.
get a backup job.
Yeah,
That's
it was bad.
that's why it sucks.
Yeah.
Because people should have enough time to find a backup.
Yeah, and there was a coffee shop that was connected to it. It was called
I've been there, yeah.
I forget what it was called.
Seattle's best.
Ground Connection.
I thought it was Seattle's best coffee.
Nah, it was Ground Connection because
Okay.
that's the old coffee shop that the owner.
But
that I used to work
before
with.
it, was it the Seattle's coffee? or no?
Maybe. I honestly don't know. I honestly
Okay.
don't know. I would only literally just go in through the food court entrance, and the Cinnabon is like right there after the glasses shop.
That's
right?
crazy.
So I would go in there and just like chill there for a bit.
Damn. So you yeah. So you really worked at the mall for a while.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
And you know, I think this is a perfect intro, kind of like getting into because
It's gonna turn into me interviewing you.
Nah, dude. No, trust
I
me.
don't mind it.
I watched a lot and consumed a lot of your content for like the past week.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, usually like it's funny.
I don't think about that when people
Yeah.
do that.
People usually come onto the podcast, and the thing is, I'm usually interviewing new people.
Yeah.
I'm usually interviewing artists who like, oh, this is their first podcast, this is their first interview. I think you've done like 4 or 5, at least within the past year. You've done like 4 or 5.
Podcasts?
Yes.
I think I've done 3.
You were on Sully's. Then you
I
were.
did Sully Bop. That's to be honest, it's the only one I remember. I don't
Yeah.
recall any of the others that I did.
Well, you did one just like 4 months ago, no? Like 5 months ago. What's it?
Oh, wait,
Injustice.
Injustice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
888.
Justice was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a podcast with him.
That's the second one. I don't remember any others that I did.
There was another one you did. It looked like you did it at a studio, I think. It was with this I think it was a girl or a guy. It was 2 girls, I forget. But the girl was the main host, and you did a freestyle a cappella there. And I think you did
Wait
a
a
couple of
minute.
more videos with them.
Are you talking about Blue Man J?
Maybe it was Brave Studios, I think you did it at. I can't remember the studio place.
That one never got uploaded.
Well,
The
there
one with Nick
Nah, I
from
don't
William
think it was that one.
Patterson.
Nah, I don't think it was that one. I don't think it was that one. But yeah, I've been.
How do I forget these?
It happens, dude. It happens when you're just like out and doing your thing. Because I mean, like you do produce a lot of content. It seems like you're very busy, like doing what you do.
Yeah, mainly on the music side now.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly on the music side. But yeah, at one point, like years ago, I was doing hella podcasts. Like with Monifa, I did probably a couple. Margie, I did a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did more than one with Margie.
So
Oh yeah.
really, I'm kind of trying to think because how I wanna, because I just finished listening to Sully's as well. Shout out Sully Bob, my boy, freaking
Yeah.
another podcast, great. I was just finishing listening to him, and I liked a lot of the conversations that you guys had going, but I really kind of want to get into kind of your mall era, and also like kind of like start off with like your
My
TikTok
mall era.
Yeah.
A lot has changed since the conversation
yeah.
with Sully Bop. Like so many things have changed.
So like how so? What has changed?
Just me as a person.
Talk to me then. Well, what do you feel like the
Oh,
biggest
man.
changes? Because Sully Bop's interview with you was posted up early January this year.
I did that in early December of last year. So that was almost a full year ago when I did the interview with Sully. So damn near everything was different.
So how so? Like what is the biggest changes that have happened since then?
I mean, when I did that, I was at like around 100K monthly listeners on Spotify, and now I'm pushing 500,000.
Yes.
So like I multiplied everything I had by like 5.
And do you think that has happened between like, because you know, a lot of this stuff in social media and listeners, it's not necessarily linear all the time.
Oh,
the work you
no.
put through, right? But it seems like it's kind of exploded, I guess, since this past year. If you were at 100,000 earlier this year, right?
Yeah.
And you're moving almost to, I think you're at 400 something.
I'm at 494.
494
around there. Yeah, like,
yeah.
and it's just the streams that multiply because of the people that find you based on how the algorithms reach you and how the algorithms start pushing you.
Word.
Once you get inserted into a certain community. There's like a whole math to it that bores the shit out of people. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Fuck. Bitch.
So what do you feel like, so where was your mind? So let's talk right after beginning of January.
Yeah.
What was your game plan for the year? And how has it become more successful up until this point? Like, what were the successes?
January?
Yeah, so for example, like I assume, like I don't know if you look at like your career as every year or plan it out as every year.
No,
but
I take
like,
it day to day.
Word. So what was your game? So day to day.
Can you hear me sitting this far from the mic?
I mean, you could put the mic closer for you if you want.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to manhandle the mic, man.
I'll manhandle it. I just gotta like get myself in that manhandling zone for the mic.
Got you.
Manhandle mic zone. Definitely not manhandling it right now. This is like
Yeah, don't be scared, bro. You could move
very,
it around, bro.
very tame.
I got
okay.
insurance.
Cool,
so if you
cool,
break
cool.
it, I'll grab another mic.
Thank you. That makes me feel better. Anyway, what were you saying?
I was
about
saying-
year to year or
So
day to day?
I don't know. Some people look at their like, for example, myself, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the podcast, at least for right now, I kind of look at it year to year, and I do take my actions and what I do for the podcast day to day, but like kind of like the end of the year and the first day of January is kind of like the review, right? Because I'm like, all right, because right now,
Maybe I should take notes and do that for myself more because it's not cool to always do the same shit your whole life. You have to switch it up. So maybe I should start doing it year to year. Like, I'm sure my manager would be thrilled if I came to him. I'm like, these are my goals for the year. Instead of me just being like, let's take it day by day.
well, then let's kind of ask. So your manager, I'm sure your manager like tells you, like gives you like kind of like a skeletal kind of example of what he wants you to do for the year, correct?
That's pretty accurate. He doesn't go into explicit detail because he leaves a lot of it up to me. So he gives me free reign. But the problem is with giving me free reign is I have terrible ADHD and I raw dog my ADHD. I don't really take medicine for anything besides my the GERD or acid reflux that I suffer from, my stomach issues. I don't take any medicine that like calms me down really, or like Xanax or nothing. So my mind is rampant. So when it comes to making plans, I become sporadic. I become all over the place. And then my one constant is that I always have to be creating music and evolving my identity within the music that I make. God willing, it's been working, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt for me to be a little bit more organized.
Okay.
And organization as an artist, I think, is a struggle no matter what type of art you make.
What do you feel is the biggest struggle in like your organization process besides just having like ADHD?
I feel like organization is a risk always, because when you organize yourself far ahead of time and you take a bet on if something is going to work very, very far ahead of time, you're taking a huge gamble. Not to be redundant, because I said bet, gamble, it's risk, it's all the same thing. But if you put all your eggs in the basket of, okay, I have this one thing, I'm going to work on it for 6 months, and it better be the best it can be, you're putting all of your eggs in that basket of that one thing that you're working on.
What about that type of organization, but without expectation?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
For me, the expectations go away when I just constantly let myself be consumed by other things I'm working on. That's why I don't like to just like put all my bets into one song. That shit, I'd rather quit music than have that mentality.
Yeah.
If I was like, this is the song that's, it's like, nah, I want 100 songs. I love to make songs. I rap. I write raps all the time. I don't want to run out of material. That's a nightmare. Imagine if you are a rapper and you make like 5 songs a year and you have to like place your bets that one of those songs is going to be the song. You're going to be organized as fuck because you're not going to have a lot of things scattered around, but you're going to have to put your all into those few things. And that approach, it might work for me, but it might make me more organized if I did that, to be honest. But it would drive me a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be a separation between just like using organize as in just like organizing your future and kind of predicting and like, hoping that something hits, because I don't know. I feel
I don't like to hope for that. I like to just believe in the process of compounding. Things compound on themselves. Like my phone just compounded on your floor.
It's cool.
It's just like, yeah, like people are like, what if it flops? What if it flops? Like, bitch, who cares?
That's true.
I've had songs I love flop and then take off 5 months later because I believed in the song.
See, I think that's a true plight of an artist. I think the true plight of an artist is making something that the artist enjoys.
I just had a moment where I couldn't reach my phone.
It's cool. If you want to pick up your phone, dude, pick up your phone.
Hold on. Achieved.
Yeah, but I think the true plight of an artist is really just making the music. I don't want to say selfishly, but yeah, that's really what I'm heading towards.
It attracts me to artists when I see them being selfish.
Yeah.
I love artists like that. There's this one artist I listen to. His whole Spotify bio is basically him explaining that he doesn't give a shit about what other people think about his music. It's all for him. I gained so much respect for him. And he was already popping already. But like, I gained respect as a fan because I'm like, he's doing this for himself. He doesn't give a shit. You could usually hear it in the music when an artist is doing it for them. I really like stream of consciousness, very freeform type, all over the place, messy music.
Word.
Like I love crazy shit.
Yeah, it's
That's
funny.
what attracted me to hyperpop at first too.
So explain hyperpop to me.
Hyperpop, it's really glitchy, distorted, upbeat, melodic music with a lot of vocal harmonies layered on each other. So it sounds like a million people singing at once, but it's just one person. And very diverse crowd, very diverse community. I am adjacent to it, but not a part of it. I have many friends and peers who do hyperpop, but I'm just saying I like it. I'm not saying I make it. I'm just saying it's something I like. I enjoy.
Word, yeah, because I think
it's also very rebellious. There's a very rebellious attitude about it where it's like the norm of what music was, it kind of started changing. And there's even artists in the mainstream that started doing that. So hyperpop is not by any means the only genre that does that or has done that. But I'm saying like, I just threw an example out there.
No,
like,
yeah.
This is why I was attracted to the genre of music hyperpop. That's why I made the hyperpop songs that never came out. But I'm like, I just like it when it feels free.
Okay. So how would you describe the music that you make now?
I'd also describe it as like messy in a good way. Like all over the place, but contained. Really corrupt sort of identity, but also really defined identity. Like you get a feeling like you know who you're listening to every time, but it just sounds like, I feel like I'm describing the character being portrayed more so than the music itself, which to me is interesting. I like it when there's a character.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I like it when there's like an identity or a personality to hold on to. Where there's memorable lyrics, like one-liners that really hit you. I like distortion.
When you talk about character, are you talking about like a general character that you imagine like performing your music? Or is it like...
that's a part of it. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. Because a lot of my favorite artists, they developed that. So I kind of took note of that, where they draw parallels between a fictional version of themselves and the real version of themselves. So it's like they turn themselves into character. They turn themselves into like a parody. But then they describe how scary it is because their real life ends up mirroring this. So is it art imitating life or life imitating art? To me, those are the greatest artists because they make music that's like powerful enough that like the lines become blurred between what's really real in their life and what's in their music.
Separating kind of art from artist.
Yeah, and then, well, not in like the political sort of way, more so
cool.
in just the strictly artistic sort of way. Like to me, that's Drake's music. Where if you listen to his music, it's like, damn, like, is this Drake or is this Aubrey? Like, what's going? Can he even tell? Or like, what's going on? Or like with Eminem and Slim Shady, And like then him highlighting the problems created because the characters and the personality created became so powerful that it all became one. But just the music, and I don't listen to it like I used to, but the music just became like potent.
So
Lil Darky's like that too. You know who that is?
Lil Darky, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Lil Darky kind of does that with his music. Really took off because of it.
And is he like a rapper or is he like
Oh yeah. He's huge.
Word.
He's considered like more underground, even though he has like 3 million monthly listeners, which is technically not underground, but he is a great artist because he did that. He created a character of himself, and he would just draw the parallels, I feel, between what he legitimately felt inside and what he would imagine the character would feel, and like created this like portrayal for people to interpret on their own. And the music sounds so free because of it. And to me, that's actually how I interpret Bones too. You listen to Bones?
I've heard about Bones. I don't listen.
I love Bones.
I've actually probably listened to some of Bones, but I can't name anything off the top of the head.
Yeah, Bones is great. Xavier Wolf, Sesh Hollow Water Boys. You know them or no?
I don't.
Oh man, that's the issue I always have with the New Jersey scene. I'd always be like citing my influences and people I listen to. They'd be like, "Who?"
No, but that's a good thing though. That's a great thing because I think like it mixes. We need people who are like really into their like their certain types of music.
Yeah, I feel like once
surrounds it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like once people niche down and find more of a style that they stick to, they start to have influences and just people they like that other people around them don't know. Like I listen to all that, like Xavier Wolf, Chris Travis, Bones, all those guys, and most people I'm around don't even know who they are, especially locally. But then when it does happen, when I'm around them, we have such a bonding moment. I'm like, oh my God, you listen to this too? We have like a little freak out moment where it's like crazy. But usually the ones that people know are like Suicide Boys. You know Suicide Boys?
I do know Suicide
They're
Boys.
huge, especially now. So it's really hard to ignore the impact that they've had. But yeah, a lot of artists like that, like they're very much being genuine and very much being themselves in the music, but there also is a way that they're just turning it into something very far entertaining. So it's real and it's also entertaining. So it's not like I'm just sitting there listening to a dude talk about his life. I'm listening to a dude talk about his life, but creatively, in a way that like captures me as the listener and makes me feel like I'm listening to something that's beyond human, like a superhuman. And I really like that.
So how would you describe all these kind of artists that you just talk about? Like what genre of music do they kind of fall under?
A lot of it it's just under the greater umbrella of rap. Like you have all the subgenres in rap. You have like West Coast hip hop, you have industrial hip hop, you have boom bap, you have like abstract rap, you have Memphis rap, you have like all these different, even like people would argue that like, not argue, I think it's legitimate that Jersey club rap, like rapping over Jersey club, and drill especially, because drill has been huge. But every single subgenre of rap has its own place because there's a specific audience and fan base for all of it. So then a lot of this falls into funk, PHONK, especially like a newer derivative of funk. Shadow rap, which is more like what Bones does, like the really dark, low tone, usually lo-fi type of rap that has a lot of really concealed and well displayed aggression. Night Lavelle does that beautifully. Do you know Night Lavelle?
I don't know Night Lavelle.
He's a Canadian artist who does like the shadow rap type feel like perfectly. Like his aesthetic, his voice, his beat selection, all of it just hits the nail on the head every time.
After this podcast, we gotta write down all these names just so I could go ahead and put them into my discography for sure. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I love to find new music too. Like I love it when I have friends that put me on to stuff that I wouldn't have found regardless, because then I put it into my playlist and I'm like, bro, like I feel blessed right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because
sometimes without people putting you on, you wouldn't even find it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, I'm really into oldies music, like 70s, 80s, like it's like my like genre music, like anything that was made during that time.
Yeah.
I like a lot of funk music, hip hop, rap, of course. Like I listen to really everything because I grew up with like a kind of classical music background. So I even listen to a lot of classical music. I listen to a lot of opera. You know,
I would say I'm influenced by a lot of things, but I don't listen to a lot of things. I listen to mainly hip hop and metal.
Word.
and pop.
So who are your biggest influences growing up?
Oh, man, you know the band In Flames?
I don't.
I just got back into them, just like via Spotify. But growing up, I was really into the band In Flames. I was really into Deftones, Slipknot,
Deftones, Slipknot, yeah.
Static X, As I Lay Dying, Bullet for My Valentine.
I know Bullet for My Valentine.
Oh, so fire. What else? Stone Sour.
I don't know.
Corey Taylor from Slipknot, that was one of his side projects. Nickelback. Loved Nickelback growing up. Still love them, but
they got a lot of hate. They got a lot of. I think it's popular.
I ignore it. I'm just like, people will hate on anything, so it's kind of just a given.
They definitely will.
And people hated on Justin Bieber too.
Yeah, they did hate on Justin Bieber, but you look back, you know.
Now people are like more open to Justin Bieber, but like back then, when I was in middle school, like people were enraged.
Well, I mean, like he. I feel like back then his music was mainly just like pop, you know, like super pop during the time. It was
not mature.
Yeah.
Now his music is super mature, and like even if you trace it back to 2015, Purpose, right? That's the album. I think that came out in 2015.
I think so. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. I'm not a Justin Bieber. Like I don't know any of his stuff.
Right.
Like that.
So that album Purpose is crazy, and like I said, beat selection really matters. It's production. Obviously, you could butt in and be like, oh, well, he has the best producers on the planet. Regardless, that doesn't guarantee that the music's going to be good.
That's true.
Justin Bieber, I think he genuinely makes good music.
Yeah, I think
even his newer stuff, I like some of it.
Yeah, I like a lot of his newer stuff. And even though he gets to kind of cherry pick, because if Justin Bieber asks to work with you, you're not saying no. You know what I mean?
Oh, in a heartbeat, I'd say yes.
So like,
but I would have done that years ago still. My attitude on Justin Bieber hasn't changed. Like, I've always really been a fan.
Yeah, so. I think... I mean, his early stuff, like I think
he's Canadian too.
Yeah, I think he is Canadian.
A lot of great artists come out of Canada.
Yeah. I mean,
Tory Lanez, Night Lavelle, Drake, Party Next Door.
I like Party Next Door.
The Weeknd is from
The Weeknd. Yeah.
Oh man,
I went to a Weeknd concert actually.
How was that?
I went to. I think it was his biggest concert ever. Actually, it was out in MetLife. And it was like sold out. I think it was like 76.
Sold out the MetLife?
Yeah, he sold out the MetLife. So that was crazy.
That's a dream of mine right there.
Nah, it was fire.
One day I'll get there. It might not be tomorrow or next month, but one day. I might even be like in my 30s by that time.
Hey, dude, I'll be waiting. I'll be buying the ticket, you know?
Yeah. That's one thing I learned over time is that it doesn't matter when it happens. It matters if it happens.
That's true. But I think also this is an interesting conversation to get into where it's like, as an artist, where do you go? I don't think, how can I say this right? There's not actually no right way to say it, but at what point as an artist do you stop going from chasing your dreams to being a mentor and giving it to the next generation to become even more successful? You know what I mean? And I think part of that doesn't even come from like, I think in general, when you are starting something in the scene, like especially, I feel like the Jersey scene right now is like just in its infancy. It's not. It hasn't always been at its infancy.
Right.
It comes in waves, right?
Right. I think the Jersey scene, it needs to grow into itself a little bit more.
For sure.
It needs to come into its body. Like it's just an infant body right now. It needs to grow, go through some shit, become a little bit more like refined. But it needs to refine itself.
But who does the refining? And I think this is
they do, the artists.
The artists, but at the same...
Because back when I was just a little infant, obviously when I was like 15 and not an infant, but artistically, it was on me to really put myself into situations that would refine my music.
Which is true, which is very true. But in general, for the people who are doing things in Jersey, it's not like there's not a plethora of very successful artists who are based out of Jersey, but they just have done really nothing for the culture in general. Like, for example, you're talking about, I think SZA's from Jersey. You got Charlie Puth is from Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Charlie Puth is from Jersey.
Yeah, dude. Like, they're very...
Is he?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Where?
He's from, I forget which. South Jersey.
Bro, I love Charlie Puth.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing.
My God. I didn't know he was from Jersey.
But like, I don't think there's ever been an area for them to succeed in Jersey, you know? So it's like, who are going to be like leaders? Who are going to be mentors?
I think the internet changed it.
How so?
Because the internet destroyed the need for there to be a place. You could be in Alaska and make it in music.
That's true. That's true.
I think that's the sole reason.
But you can't the main plight of an artist is to perform live, right? You could share your music, you could share your art and everything, but the number one.
I want to like come through and say I have my opinions on that, but I feel like it's gonna open up a can of worms.
Oh, let's open it up, bro. That's why we're here.
Well, I want to let you finish your sentence.
Oh yeah, of course. So, but yeah, I think an artist's favorite feeling is to perform.
That's not my favorite feeling.
So what is your favorite feeling?
My favorite feeling is when I feel like I made something awesome. When I made something I think is beautiful. And to me.
Okay, no, that's dope.
Because obviously if I get on a beat and I just say fuck for like, hey, how you doing, man?
Good, man.
I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you. Pleasure. If I get on a beat and just say fuck for like 3 minutes straight and the beat is just loud 808s, to somebody else that'd be like, he's not saying anything, that's garbage. But if I think it's awesome, to me I made something awesome. So it's about making something you feel is awesome. To me, that's the best feeling as an artist, because I could perform live and like, what really happened? I got a high, I got it off. It's like nutting. Like afterwards, what do you really walk away with? That's hopefully true. Not an STD.
Listen. But I agree. I agree completely.
Walk away with your dignity. Walk away feeling like you did something good for yourself and in a greater scheme of things for the world. Because in reality, like there's times where I played shows and it was great while it was happening, but then afterwards I feel like I just got dropped off a cliff. Like I got high, and then I got low. And then what's there? Emptiness until I open my phone, look at my Spotify or look at my SoundCloud or my YouTube and just see the numbers and see the collection of people. And I'm like, wow, there's an impact that went beyond playing this show. Because the playing the shows, it does this. If to me, it's like drugs too. Drugs is like an even better example, because you could get high, but then what do you have after the high goes away? What happens after that? Like you need it again. You keep chasing after it. It's pain.
That's an interesting analogy, because often I do consider, a lot of the artists who I have here, I'm always telling them performing feels like you're on drugs. It feels dangerous. Like the best type of drug.
It's dangerous because you'll do anything for that type of feeling. That type of feeling, it made me a slave. That's literally how I developed like an eating disorder. Because to me, like food would give me that feeling. So for a while, I like ran to food for that. And like that shit leads you to a variety of health problems. Then you're like 25, 26, and you have fucking esophagus disorders and shit.
Well, I will say, I think there's a healthy relationship with performing, and I think with anything you decide to do, as long as you're mentally prepared. I think
it's just about what you're ready to give up or sacrifice for that feeling. Because a lot of people, they spend so much money and spend so much time to get the opportunity to perform and then get nothing out of it except for just the temporary high that they had on stage, versus you have an organized situation with like a booking agent or something that's like more procured over a longer period of time. It becomes sustainable because more time went into building it. Because back when I had no music out, I was playing hella shows, but then after the shows I'd go home or go to my family. They'd be like, so what now? What are you really doing with your life?
Well, see,
being from a Jewish family, they'll push you. Being from a Jewish family, it takes more than playing shows to win them over. You got to be making money.
Well, I think
you got to like be successful to a certain degree.
Well, I think that's I think the difference in relationships that people have sometimes with performing. Yeah. Because a lot of people do stuff with expectation, right?
Yeah, the expectations suck.
And I think that's what ruins the relationship, right? Because there's so much pressure for you to perform, but perform with like, you know, things happening. Like you want to perform and then you want to gain fans, rather than I think
that's hard.
I think the true plight, I wouldn't say true plight, but I think a healthy relationship with an artist and performing is an artist performing just to share. Because as humans, we like to share, right? That's my main point.
So like the catharsis.
Yeah.
But why not just feel like that when you make a song?
Well, it is. You can feel like that, right? Why not just like perform all your music by yourself in your room and never share it if it's truly just for you?
If it's truly just for you, that's dope as hell. I mean, there's songs I've written where I rap them alone to nobody, and I feel great after.
Yeah, like
that has happened.
Funny enough, I released my first song when I went through a breakup back in college, right?
Nice.
And I had
those suck.
Yeah, they suck. They do suck.
Yeah.
I thought you said my music sucked for a second. I was like, shit, bro. Like, damn.
To be fair, I didn't even know know you made music.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I make music. I used to produce a lot, but then when I finished college, it kind of became on the back burner because when this started, I was like, I want this to be my main gig.
Yeah.
And I still make music to this day, and I still write for fun. And what's funny, I think, about it is whenever I get the chance to perform, I like to perform, but I don't like to perform in the sense of, like I want more fans. I want people to listen to my music, even though like low key, any human feels that way, right? But it's more in the sense that I just like to share.
That's how I view it now with performance, because I understand the reality of the performance. Like I'm not gonna play a show down the street here and like walk away and be like, yo, like this is making me go viral right now. It's more like, okay, I performed, had a great time, and now that's it. It's over now.
But see, I feel like that is the feeling, that's the relationship I have with music now. That's the feeling that I have with shooting a podcast or sharing anything online. I actually hate social media because I feel like social media puts a pressure on you to perform. And when you look at numbers,
it's super performative a lot.
When you look at numbers, I feel like those numbers kind of manipulate your brain into thinking that you're doing better than a lot of other people.
It depends where the numbers are at to me.
Yeah.
It depends where the numbers are at. If the numbers are somewhere where it really matters, then
Word. So why don't we kind of hop into that a little bit, because I'm very interested on your relationship between the numbers you have within your music and then also like how that affects like your day to day and what you do, because numbers is something that is.
Well, numbers is broad. Like numbers, you could be talking about like how many beers you drank yesterday. Like, bro, I put up some numbers yesterday.
That's true. That's true.
Or like a sports game. Like, bro, look at the number. I don't watch sports, but I imagine people like, whoa, the numbers. And me, when I talk about numbers, people misconstrue it. But the people who do what I do, who are like in my exact neck of the woods, they know what I mean when I talk about like the numerals. They're just like, okay, he's talking about the same thing I'm talking about. Because I'm not talking about like, it's broad, bro. Sometimes I need to specify more what I'm talking about. Because I'll just be with somebody, I'll be like, I like dogs. They'll be like, okay. And I'm saying a very literal thought, but they don't know what specifically brought it to light. I'll just literally say things sometimes.
Word. I know, I get that, dude. And like, listen, it's a podcast, bro. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. But no, I mean in general, not even on podcasts. Just if I'm with somebody, I like to just say thoughts. That's cool.
Respectable. That's respectable.
It's just respectable.
I had no.
He's like, I hate it, but I respect it.
For me, it's sometimes I even get easily off topic real quick. And actually, I had a friend here who he likes to just randomly go into scenes, like acting out scenes that like he's seen in video games, and like literally mid conversation.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And literally, like we were talking one time, and he just went into a scene, and I was just like in the middle of our conversation, like we were just talking. And
I don't know how I'd handle that. I'm curious how I would handle that.
You would think that it's a little bit more, like, I don't know, like you could take offense to it because like, yo, weren't we just talking, whatever? But it's kind of like, for me, I'm always just like, be true to yourself. Wow. And when he explained it on the podcast, he was just like, yeah, that's just who I am. And if you don't like it, then find somebody else. And I was like, you know what? Like, I respect the shit out of that. Be you, dude. If you like doing that and like, maybe maybe wait till a person finishes a sentence to do it or whatever. And I wouldn't say he'd like,
there's that.
Yeah.
There is that. There's always something there's always something though. Cause I was like, that's cool, but just don't let it fuck up my shit.
Word.
Cause my shit is my shit. So at the end of the day, we all want to be heard.
True. Very true. Yeah. Let's hop back into this number things.
Yeah, let's hop into it.
Let's kind of go.
Got
from
my
the
rubber on.
When was the first time that you saw real success in the numbers? Because out of everybody who I've had, real quick, I'll just add this kind of intro to it. You are the only artist I've had on this podcast who has some like serious numbers that I think like
that's a problem.
I don't
gotta get like 20, 30 of those on here.
Well, like I said, to me, it doesn't
40.
matter. Numbers literally mean nothing to me, just personally to me. And I'll tell you why.
It depends where the numbers are.
The thing is, in a certain sense, in a business sense, numbers matter, right? Yeah. In a business sense, numbers matter. But at the same time, I am very true, and this is not saying nobody else is true to
Do numbers matter when you look at your bank account?
Yes, but
so that's what I'm saying.
But bank is specifically business, and this is where you.
But there is business involved.
There is business involved.
There's a direct correlation between numbers somewhere, and then it directly links to you looking at your bank account. It does matter. That's literally going to be my comeback now for when people are like, oh, the numbers, I'm not focused on the numbers. I'm like, did you look at your bank account? Now tell me.
But I
don't think I'm like some like prophet for
No.
thinking like that. I just think it's a reasonable comeback in a conversation.
I think it is a reasonable comeback, but I will say this because for me, in my sense, and especially the goals I have for the podcast, which I don't talk about often, but it's like I really want to affect the lives of people. I want to give them quality content.
I love that.
And I want to give them like, I want interaction. That's what I want.
That's amazing.
But the thing is, you could have 1 million people like a post, 1 million people view a TikTok, and
That
then
means
only 20 people, 200 people comment. You know what I mean? And it's like, where's the conversation there? You know what I mean? Then I'm literally just,
depends.
I'm just giving you something, and you're gonna take it, and then like and in a certain sense, comparative to when we were talking about artists and how they perform, it's fun to share, right? But even better than sharing, because sometimes a person just needs to be heard. They don't need a reaction. Is like when a friend vents to you and you just vent out to them, and they have not like they're here for you, they're comforting you, but they have no advice for you. Sometimes you just need to let steam off.
Yeah, I only learned that a couple of years ago. I was bad with social cues.
Yeah.
And just like shit. So when people vented to me, I always had something to say.
Yeah.
And then I was going off to my friend Patrick. I'm like, Patrick, why does no one want to vent to me? And I was like, he didn't say it, but I was like, yeah, it's because I always got some shit to say.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes.
So I try to like relax now and let people be people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm a person who needs to be a person. Sometimes I don't give a fuck about advice. I want to be like held and coddled sometimes.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Verbally, because like we're, we're people. We don't need to like touch each other all the time, but we need to just like be there for each other.
Word.
Yeah.
But coming back to the numbers and stuff, it's like, if I'll get 100 likes on a post, right? But if I get 40 likes on a post and 40 people are commenting, like that means way more to me in the numbers wise, right?
That's more social media numbers. It's different from streaming numbers.
I think streaming numbers are interesting too, because sometimes, and I had this one friend who had, how many? I think he had like almost 500,000 streams on one of his songs, right? And it just blew up, and it went on Discover Radar and all this other stuff.
Are you allowed to tell me who it was?
I'd rather just keep the name out. If you want, after the podcast, I'll tell you who it was.
Sure, yeah.
But
I had a feeling.
I see all those numbers, and I ask him, and I'm just like, what money did you make from that? And he explained and stuff, but it was the only song that hit. And then all the other stuff like kind of went away, and it just happened that his song had gone viral in Peru. Right. Funny enough, I'm from Peru, so it went viral in Peru, man, and people were just listening to it, and his numbers went up, and all this stuff went. But then, like,
you're describing a very unsustainable circumstance.
Yeah. So
which I love that for him, and I love that for this person, but the entire perspective around streaming numbers can't be shaped around an unsustainable experience.
Word.
That creates a very false narrative.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're responsible for perpetuating a false narrative. I'm saying publicly, a lot of people around music who like are more so non-believers, they perpetuate the false narrative by basing their expectations of numbers around something completely unsustainable like that, where they'll be like, oh yeah, well the only way to make it is to get lucky. It's like, bitch.
Yeah.
No.
I don't
create your own luck through repetitive consistency, and then at that point it's not even luck, it's good fortune. I literally had a therapist talk to me about this, where I was like, yeah, like, I don't believe in luck. He's like, well, you got to believe in good fortune. Because if you're consistent enough, then the good fortune, the way you'll create your fortune is by making sure that you will consistently have the success to the point where it becomes sustainable. So it's not just one of your songs with 100K, not just one of your songs with 500,000. It becomes a consistent thing you're doing, because you put a system in play, a personal system in place to get yourself to that level, and it becomes sustainable. Literally, it's in the streaming numbers, but it also becomes your mindset. You develop a better mindset because you put a system in place instead of just having crazy goals and you don't know how you're going to get there. You build yourself a ladder. You build yourself a staircase. To me, that sounds healthy, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. So why don't you talk to me then? The first time you saw some numbers, what was your reaction, and what were you doing leading up to that first big success? And big
Yeah.
is subjective.
Should I start with my band getting numbers or just me as a solo artist getting numbers?
Wherever you feel like it started.
When I was like 15, I put out a song called Green Light on SoundCloud. And overnight it got like 300 plays. And I realized like, yeah, like I gotta believe in myself. I gotta just at the time that was crazy. It was like what, 2011? I was 15. I recorded it on a really shitty mic in my friend's bedroom. And overnight, just 300 plays, and I was geeking over it at the time. Was super grateful. I went to school the next day, and people were telling me they liked it. On Facebook, which I was using heavily at the time, people were telling me they liked it. I was like, word, this is what output does. This is what happens when I put my foot down and I say the song's coming out. So then after that, it became hard for me to like gain numbers because I struggled with making the music. But sometimes I would hit like 1,000 plays. YouTube video I made would hit 1,000. I was like, wow, this is real. Like this can be done. Joined the band, formed the band really with a few of my friends. We started getting some numbers too. It really felt like, damn, like this feels like we're doing something. It feels productive. It feels like it's going somewhere.
And with the band, like what kind of numbers were you seeing?
Like mainly YouTube numbers. SoundCloud, we get like a few thousand. YouTube videos, we'd get like a few thousand.
Okay.
We'd run ads and pump it with just a push. And it would work sometimes. But yeah, it was exciting because it felt like we were doing something. But when the numbers were hitting different, like literally hit a different part of my brain, was when the band was starting to break up and I started to release solo music as Ethan Ross. And I had songs on SoundCloud that would just like pick up a few thousand. And I'd be like, this is more of an organic feeling. This feels different because this is closer to my true identity. And this is resonating harder than any of my other stuff was. So it felt different once 2018 came around and like I was starting to just birth Ethan Ross and just put it out into the universe. Because it feels different when you feel like it's you and it's not a bunch of other people's involvement or you're not super young anymore. When you have like more of a developed brain and you're putting your all into it, you notice little things that make you think about it differently. So when my song Cocaine started doing well, Cocaine 5 a.m., I was like, yeah, this is what I anticipated for this song. And this is proving to me that my taste, I didn't know how to word it like this at the time. I wasn't using like my taste as a phrase. I was just like, my choices and my decisions are leading me to something. And I have to trust it because something that came from my brain, something weird and a little bit out there from my brain is doing something really cool. That's how I felt about the numbers. So it helped shape me mentally to like watch me take steps. Because that song was a step. Like I said before, like a ladder, a staircase. That's kind of what I was doing. So in 2018, seeing the numbers for the first time, that shit made me feel like I was doing something right. And now, like, I know I'm doing something right, and I have to because no one else around me is going to instill that knowledge or force me to believe in myself. But back then, it was more just grabbing at something where now I feel like I got a hold on something. And now it's just about refining it and, like, continuing to open myself, keep myself open-minded, and just hear other people out. But at the core of it, always trust yourself, trust your own taste.
Word. I will say, so even in any ladder, any kind of steps you take, there's those kind of milestones, right?
Yeah, the little ones matter too
Yeah.
because the ones towards the beginning, those you step on those little milestones to become better than who you were before.
So what was the first big milestones? Because you got
Yeah.
for everybody who's listening, and you can look up his discography on Spotify and also any of those
Yes,
number tracking websites, whatever. He has top 5 songs. You got 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 streams. The fifth one, I think, is one of your older songs. I think it's like 1 point.
Are you talking about Spotify?
I am specifically talking about Spotify.
So Spotify, Shotgun is my #1 song right now. It's like passing 500,000 as we speak. The second one is, I think, Full Send Remix or Kill Them. Full Send Remix just crossed 600K. Kill Them, I made it with my boy Max in like February. That just passed 500,000. Fourth one, What was the fourth one? Oh, Smoke with Cairo. That one's about to hit 900K. That came out in May. Cairo is amazing from Canada.
Word.
The Canadian artists, man.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing, bro. So Cairo, amazing, talented guy. We made that song together. It's gonna hit 1 mil, I think, in a month. Fifth song. That's the fifth song in my top 5 right now. I think is Still Never Break. It's at like 1.4, 1.5 mil. So that's the song that really changed my life. Actually, last December when I dropped it, that song reshaped my whole approach to music. That was the song. That wasn't one of my early milestones because I've been doing this for a long time.
So talk to me about the milestones leading up to that one.
Okay. It was really cool seeing the freestyles go viral on TikTok.
Yes.
It gave me a lot of confidence and motivation.
So this was 2018, 2019?
2019 was the TikTok era.
Okay.
Where I stepped away from music. People don't think I stepped away from music because a lot of them don't pay attention because the audience I had at the time don't pay attention to the music. The audience I had at the time was like, we want to see his red hair and we want to see him do crazy shit. That was my audience, super unsustainable. And my family was even calling it out. They were like, listen, like, you can't just be doing this forever. Look at the pressure that's on you because of like where you're from and like the expectations that your family has of you. You need to be making a sustainable income. And at the time I wasn't making shit. I was just going viral every other day, not making bread, barely pulling actual fans from it. I was just pulling clout. I was making sure people recognized my face, but not making sure people placed value on me.
That's very interesting because
I went through that. It was debilitating. It made me super depressed. It made me almost want to quit music because I was going through my old story archive from like 2019, May, June 2019. I was posting shit like every other day I want to quit on my story for everyone to see. I was like literally being overly vulnerable and oversharing like a fucking crazy person, constantly pouring out on social media like, oh yeah, I'm going through it. I want to quit. I was like, who was this fucking person? And if I could go back to 2019 and see that person, I'd just put my hands on his shoulders and be like, bro, you need to calm down. Get in the studio. Relax. Take a deep fucking breath. Go make some music. Because this TikTok shit is great, but you need to be using TikTok for the right reasons.
And what are those right reasons now?
To push your art. Not just to like put yourself out there because everything is just hook, line, and sinker. Like not everything you're gonna do for virality is gonna lead you to success. There's people who are regular people like you and me and everybody else here, just regular folks going about their day who go viral every day. Doesn't mean that they're guaranteed any sort of sustainable success. Those are the numbers that I was telling you that don't matter to me. Because when you say numbers and when I say numbers, it sounds broad, but usually when I get in conversations with people about numbers, the numbers they're referring to are the unsustainable numbers. They're not talking about the numbers that come from people that really fuck with you. They're talking about the numbers that come from people that just view you as another face, another pretty face, another not so pretty face, just a face. And that's who I was. I wasn't necessarily a pretty face. I wasn't necessarily an ugly face. I was a face. And I was obsessed with people always knowing who the fuck I was. And then I saw the mental toll it took on me. And I saw the way I was closing doors on musical opportunities because I was so focused on the consistent TikTok virality. That's what I was placing my focus on. And then my manager, who wasn't even really my manager at the time, he was just like a guy who was helping me upload my music to all platforms. He's like, so what do you want? And I hated that question. It was always, what do you want? And I was like, to blow up. I want to go viral. I want to blow up. He was like, no. What do you want? And this motherfucker boiled my blood. He's my manager now. I love him to death. But he boiled my blood every time he would ask me that question.
It's a good question, though.
You know why it boiled my blood? I didn't have the answer. That's literally why it made me so mad. And even my engineer at the time, Tom, who I don't work with anymore respectfully, love him. All love. He would even ask me the same shit sometimes. He'd be like, Ethan, you got to like decide. I was like, decide? Like, I'm trying to go viral on TikTok. I'm trying to get on the socials. I'm trying to rack up the numbers. But the numbers I was racking up, I realized weren't building me anything sustainable. Now I'm trying to build a kingdom. Now I'm trying to build my farm with my animals, with my cows and my llamas and my sheep and my dog. And I'm trying to do all that now. You don't build that just by like throwing random stones out there. You need some sort of personal system in place that allows you to be focused, because we could go get somebody off the street right now, and as long as they are somewhat charismatic, they can blow up on TikTok and get 1 million views today. That doesn't mean that this person is going to gain any sort of sustainable fan base. That just means that either they're hot or charismatic or both, or they have some redeeming quality about them. They can go viral. That's literally all it takes. So people go on social media and they think, oh, well, they went viral and I didn't, so that must mean that I'm not talented enough. Like, no, they went viral just because they did something that people liked. It's not that complicated. But what's more complicated is gaining the numbers based on something that is like you hold near and dear to you.
Genuine. Which
should be the music. So when people talk about, oh yeah, the numbers on my music don't matter, of course it fucking matters. I hate it when people tell me that, because it's always a lie. I've never heard somebody say that and like they actually meant it. Because like at the end of the day, a lot of people want to make money off their music. A lot of people want to build a career, want to make a living off of it. So you kind of have to care about the numbers, because when you turn 25, 26, when you're pushing 30, you need to be making money. Are you kidding me? So when people tell me to my face, like, oh, the numbers don't matter, it's almost like an insult. Like, do you know how old I am? I'm not 19 anymore. I'm not 18. I'm not 17, clueless anymore. Like, I am like a grown-ass man, and I need my shit together. Even with all my ADHD, my anxiety, all the shit I deal with, I need to somewhat have my shit together, because these motherfuckers who are in my place telling me like, sorry, not in my place, in my face telling me shit like, oh, the numbers don't matter, stop worrying. It's like, bro, like, I'm older now. All of that shit I didn't care about before matters. And ironically, the way you even get that is by not caring about it in an artistic way, which is what we said before. Make music that's really you. Make music that you hold near and dear to your heart. But yeah, but the business side of that is that you have to consistently do that. The business side of that is that you need to do it in a certain way where it's sustainable. You need to do it in a certain way that is refined. That's the business side, is refining it and looking at it from an objective standpoint, not just a subjective standpoint. So yes, the music I make is very real to me, but I take my time to refine it so I can look at it as an objective listener and be like, this, I like this. Instead of me being like, oh, this is my baby. This is my child. It means so much to me. But when I look at it from a business standpoint, I could still be like, yeah, it's good. Good music.
This is very, number one, dude, very, very well spoken. Very well spoken.
I really appreciate it. I was an English honors student, and I almost became an English teacher. That's funny. I was talking to my boy Project. Great artist. Amazing music. I love him. Project. I was talking to Project on the phone the other day. He was like, yeah, without music, I don't know where I'd be, man. I might be here. I might be there. He was like, we were having a real deep talk. He was like, yeah, bro, without music, I don't know where I'd be. I was like, without music, I might have been an English teacher. And he wasn't expecting me to say that. He's probably expecting me to be like, oh, without music, I would be in the depths of hell. Without music, I would be locked in a cellar underground. But no, without music, I think I'd probably just have a more boring job. I would just have a boring career. I'd be like, at best, a public speaker, like an Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
Something like that. But music is like way cooler.
Yeah.
Because if I was like an Eric Thomas public speaker, I'd have to filter myself more and be like, motivation. But with music, you can be motivating while talking about your demons, and being motivating while talking about, like, of course, like as a public speaker, you're going to talk about your demons too, but you're going to talk about it in a certain way where there is like a resolve so that people can walk away with it. Sorry, a resolve so that people can walk away with a newfound positivity. But in music, you can save people's lives while making songs about how badly you want to die. Because people who are going through that will hear it and they'll be like, I'm not alone. And that will save them. There's a huge misconception I was taught about growing up, especially like by my mom, where she was like, your music needs to be positive. You need to have happy, good messages. And I'm growing, I'm older now, and I'm realizing that's not the case. All these people that come to me, they tell me like, yeah, like the songs where they feel like are saving them, the songs that they feel are saving them are songs that don't even necessarily have a resolve or like a call to action. The song is just a raw portrayal of those demons, those struggles, no matter what they are. So I can make a song right now where I'm talking about how I'm crying and everything, and the song doesn't really have like a happy ending, but to people, the happy ending is that they got to hear somebody talk about what they're going through. And that's what I love about this. That's what I wouldn't be able to necessarily do as a teacher. That's what I wouldn't necessarily be doing as a public speaker with music. It's more free.
Well, I'm gonna pause your thought right there real quick because we still need to get back to two thoughts that we were running off of, which was the first thing.
Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I feel the same way about you.
Thank you, dude. Sure. I appreciate it. The first thing, couple questions I have in there. So number one, I think every artist, if you were just listening to him speak about the numbers and how it differs from business to also just your art, I think that was fantastic. I think you need to, if you're an artist listening to this right now, you need to go back and listen to that, because that's actually something that like, it's funny. I actually never thought about it too much like that, because I'm kind of in between right now with the podcast, because I could charge for the podcast. I could charge a lot of money for having people on. It's a pretty expensive set.
You're better off being more sorry to cut you off, by the way, but this is important. I feel like I need to say this. You are better off being more selective with who comes on here than you are charging. I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard of a YouTube channel called Trash?
I haven't.
Promoting sounds, Rap Nation.
I've heard of Rap Nation.
Swaggy Tracks.
I've heard of Swaggy Tracks.
Idle Glance.
Haven't heard about them.
Scroll.
Haven't heard about them.
So a lot of these channels, right? Some of them charge, some of them don't. These channels could probably charge some people $1,000 for a submission, but they don't. They don't charge you. Okay, you know why? They're selective about who they upload.
That's where I'm starting to get into now.
That is why. They have crazy quality control. Blogs. My manager runs a blog, Fashionably Early. Quality control. You could pay my manager all the money in the world, or his friend Kyle, pay him all the money in the world. If they think the song is ass, they're not going to write about it. They're not going to submit it into the playlist. Quality control takes care of that whole, oh, I need to charge for everything, this, that. Like, why not just filter and just make sure everything that represents you is the best it can be? Then it adds so much value to you. You're going to be making money anyway. So you don't need to be charging all these people. Imagine if I spent all my time in the studio doing paid features. Be like, cool, pay me $700 for a feature. What the fuck does that do for me? That gives me $700, but then what? My time is better spent in the studio making something that I think is worth, actually making something that's priceless, instead of being like $700, time for me to put in some time. It's like, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's great if I'm getting paid $700 to do a paid feature, but I make more money in the long run if I just have quality control and I just worry about making something good, as opposed to just like jump into the paid features, jump into the quick money.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm running into now, because now it's very much my business model at first was I want to keep this free. That's my dream. Right. I've never charged anybody for a podcast or sitting down here. Yeah. Even though for one podcast I could easily charge like $600 to like $1,000 for the amount of work.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could. You have a very professionally run podcast.
For the amount of work I put into, and also not only that, because you're looking at the value of, just recording it first, and then the value of the content that they get after, right? I mean, after this, like, people walk away with an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of content. And I actually did social media managing in the beginning of this year as a side gig. And on average, a social media manager could charge anywhere from $20 to $80 a post, depending on like what they're posting. And regularly, as a content creator, they say you should be posting anywhere between 1 to 3 times a day. Now, it depends on what you are doing and where your area is.
There's a lot of factors that really depend on it. I avoid arguments about social media with people. Yeah, because I'm just like, you don't get me, I don't get you. Let's go our separate ways. We don't need to agree on everything. But when people want to talk to me about that, I'm just like, bro, like, let's relax.
In my area, I'm actually pretty soon when I was doing my project June in Jersey that I do every year, which is like promoting Jersey artists for a month, 30 podcasts in 30 days. I mean, there's at least 3 clips in one podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, now that I'm going back into them, because now shout out my new co-producer Miguel. He's not here today.
Yeah.
But I have a new co-producer, and he's helping me out with organizing all my stuff. And he goes through my videos, and there's each podcast. There's anywhere between 10 to 30 different clips, right? That you could post up. And so in my business sense, 1 to 3 posts, actually 3 posts minimum a day really makes sense, because I'm trying to push out as much real content as possible. And during the podcast, I really focus on it. Sorry, I really got off track there. I'm trying to get back to my other thoughts. No, it's beautiful.
You're passionate about it. This is like your life.
Yeah.
This is reality for you.
And so when I think about charging people, it's just like I don't feel like I'm getting the realness, because I've had people ask me before, and and it's funny, I try not to think too much about I don't like letting a person's social media presence influence my choice on whether I have them on, because that's where I say numbers don't matter to me in that sense, right?
But if the numbers are a direct reflection of where the person is at mentally, it very much matters.
See, the thing is,
and a reflection of their mindset, because there's a big difference between the mindset of an artist who just kind of does it for fun and an artist who is consistently moving the needle, as people would say. There's a huge disparity between them, because with the artist who's kind of just doing it here and there, you might be wasting your time, because this person might not even be that into it. They might be bored one day. They'll be like, all right, screw it, I'm doing a podcast.
But wouldn't you say that, because like, for example, off of you, like before you came in here, you had a very good you had a lot of people that I fuck around with, like Turk, Sully, a lot of other people, and I
Turk
actually,
is a great friend of mine.
Yeah, dude, like Turk is great. I love Turk to death. But like, you know, you had a lot of people who I respect and love around you.
Appreciate it.
That I was just like, okay, like if they're fucking with Ethan, like I guess like I'm gonna really like kind of try to like see where he's at, because sometimes, even though the numbers, it's true in your situation where I feel like if somebody's really practicing their craft and they're getting good numbers, and what I'm getting,
proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. But there are some people who have hit me up for the podcast before where they had crazy numbers, and but like just their attitude and the way that they approached me, and like kind of like you're not getting. The thing is, it's hard. How do you separate the work that somebody's putting in to also just gaining a lot of clout, and then surrounding themselves with people with a lot of clout, and then their numbers going up because of that? And then it's like, well,
what is the clout? There's different types of clout.
So I'll give you this example. So I won't name him because I don't want to work with him. But,
yeah.
But this guy hit me up, and he was doing numbers, dude. I mean, and he was
where?
YouTube.
What else?
Mainly YouTube, because that's kind of his job. I don't want to like give it too.
No, I get it. I'm just trying to see it, because YouTube is easy to fake sometimes.
Which is true, but also the proof in the people he's worked with. Okay. Right? So like, for example,
then there you go.
He was working with like Cardi B and like all these other like, you know, like big name, like, you know, rappers and artists doing like, you know, shoots for them. And, you know, like that was cool and everything. But then the treatment, you know, of what I got, like outside of that, was just like,
I don't like that.
Showing up, canceling day of, you know what I mean? Canceling when he was supposed to arrive, canceling
I
when
got
he was supposed to arrive.
sick. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was
you're
dealing
good.
with
you're
health
good.
issues.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, I try not to deep dive too much into it, because I'm not even gonna lie. When you because getting this together was a little bit tough, right?
Yeah.
But I really try not to let it affect me too much, because I realize that the perception that people have over DMs and social media sometimes really suck. And it's easy to fall into that trap very quickly. And like I'll even be honest with you. When I was sitting in my studio over there, and my partner came over to me and he's like, "Oh, how's everything?" And I was like, "Man, Ethan, reschedule, man." And I hate when people reschedule, but that's just a personal thing, right? But I was like, "Man, I don't even know. Like, if he reschedules again, I don't even know if we're gonna do it." But then at the same time, we would have missed out on this dope conversation.
I was also sick.
Yeah, that's
and in my head, I'm like, I need to cancel this shit. I really wanted to do it.
Yeah, dude. And isn't it weird how social media sometimes just gives it like almost, I don't know if it was mainly like my ego.
I want to know what I could have done better to just communicate the fact I was legitimately having a health crisis.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I was I really would have to kind of like look back.
I'm like, damn,
and
like,
be like, yeah. I think it's
because that sucks. Because I'm just like, I feel bad, but I also don't because it's my damn health. Like,
yeah,
I
dude,
hate that I have.
No,
like,
it's true. It's true.
fucking.
Sometimes it's just hard. Like scheduling with me, and especially I think it's just I think it's also a partially me thing because before I started doing more quality control on the podcast,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people who like push around. So I've had people like reschedule like 3, 4, 5 times on me. And then
How
at
many
that
times
point,
did I reschedule? Twice.
I think it was going on the 3rd, but maybe it was twice. But that's cool. Like I said, at the end of the day, like what made this happen,
I would have kept pushing for it. If you
Yeah.
didn't let me do it, I'd have been like, Margie. I'd have called
but that's what I'm saying.
Margie.
You had dope people around you though that I trust and that I really fuck with.
Well, that's
Margie,
usually a
too.
giveaway.
Yeah.
That's usually a dead giveaway. You could tell a lot by someone's company and who they're friends with. If somebody is around a bunch of sketch balls that scam people, chances are the person also is into that.
And that's where too, like, you know, like
I don't hang around scammers.
and like what I even give advice for artists too a lot. You know, I'm just like, dude, like be very punctual, like talk and stuff like that. And maybe looking back, this is why I'm kind of repeating myself here, but this is why like kind of social media to me kind of fucks me a lot in the brain and that's why I don't like doing stuff through DMs either. I've posted up, if you're listening to this right now and you're trying to get on a podcast or you want to try to get the opportunity, email me because emails I find are just so much more professional. They're so much more punctual. You know what I mean? A person can't send an email like last second.
I always
like,
get afraid people won't see my emails.
Oh, dude,
For real.
I don't look at maybe like 90% of my DMs. And if I do see
Holy
your DM,
shit.
yeah, no, I my DMs are full right now.
That's
because
crazy.
I have people who are just like being like, "Yo, can I get on the podcast? Can I get on a podcast?" And it got to the point where like I just didn't know how to respond.
In my head, I just knew, I felt and I knew that I deserved a chance. Because I'm like, I want this to be a rewarding experience for both of us and everyone involved. I deserve this in my head. And I hate if that comes off as entitlement, but in my head, I'm just like, yo, like, this needs to happen.
I kind of, which is interesting because I kind of fuck with the whole personality that you have and your thoughts because you've talked about like having, like the way you speak. You I remember it's either in Sully's podcast or it's in another. I forget which other podcast, but you were like, to a lot of people, I come off as arrogant. You said that before.
Sully told me that I came off as arrogant to him. Which is really crazy because I actually suffer from dysmorphia. Like I have really bad body dysmorphia and just general dysmorphia of my self-image. So when people think I'm like this cocky, arrogant guy, I'm like, are you looking at the same person I'm looking at? I feel like we're looking at two different people because I can't get the image out of my head of who I used to be. Because I used to look way different, carry myself way different, and act way different. So unfortunately, I still suffer self-esteem issues to a degree. But other people, they put me on a pedestal and they view me as like this guy that has everything together. I'm like, bruh, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like,
I
arrogant.
relate with that a lot.
Like, bro, like I was the weird kid my whole life, and now everybody thinks I'm the arrogant guy. I'm like, bruh, what's going on? Like, where is the disconnect? Like, I want to see what you see. I could kind of see it. Like, sometimes I'll be in the mirror. I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel myself. Or sometimes I'll be like, wow, I'm the shit. But it's just a constant battle internally I have going on where I'm like, I want to see what other people see.
Arrogance, humbleness, and confidence all kind of border on a thin line. You know what I mean?
Humbleness is a really hard one because being humble has gotten me into situations where I've been straight up abused.
How so? Explain that.
Just by people kind of noticing certain traits of mine and being like, he's weak. He's our target. And I'm like, just submitting myself to it because I feel like it's what I deserve. So just almost like seeking out situations like that because I felt like it's what I deserved. A lot of people, believe it or not, who get themselves into situations with sociopaths and narcissists seek out people like that first, subconsciously.
And you think that's a product of the people or the industry?
It's outside the industry. It's just like a general thing.
So
Could be outside the industry too. It's a product of upbringing, the way you grew up, being bullied as a kid, bad relationship experiences, just taking repetitive blows to your self-esteem growing up, and doing things out of risk-taking as opposed to pure confidence, which for me was like the viral videos I used to make. Those were maybe like half confidence, half just taking a risk out of lack of self-respect, being like,
you were saying before that and I just want to pick up on this because this is we keep running and running, but it's dope.
Yeah,
I'm really
cool.
fucking with the conversation.
I'm glad you are, bro. I'm honored. Dude. Yeah, I would hate to have like came off as just the canceller and being like,
nah, dude,
this dude is unprofessional.
You're really fine. I'm just a very straightforward guy. Like if I think something, like I'll say it, you know, like
I would never want you to not do that.
Yeah, because I just said there's no reason to not. I've learned how to say it in a way where it's like respectful, because before I had a big problem with just being blunt, right? And sometimes I even have the same problems when I'm flirting with girls, to be honest. Like I'll be like, I could dig it. I'm not crazy, man, but like for example, a lot of my friends who are girls, they'll get upset at me because I don't like playing games. Like I don't like
you gotta play the game a little bit.
Yeah, you have to play cat mouse a little bit, right? Yeah. But like for example, if I see somebody at a bar, yeah, go ahead.
Can't say it straight up. You can finish. I'm listening.
No.
Yeah.
I was at a bar and like I saw a girl that I liked, so I just went out to her and I was like, "Hey, I think you're really pretty. I really like your smile. Like my name's Luis and blah blah blah." And you know, I went about with that, and like a lot of my friends like, "You didn't like you know, try to like, you know, this and this and this." And I was like, yo, to be honest, like sometimes, like maybe if I'm in the mood,
like me.
Yeah, like maybe
I've done the same shit a lot.
Like maybe if I'm in the mood, but like, you know, like I'm here at this bar for the next 30 minutes, you know what I mean? We're gonna go to another one. I'm just gonna see if she feels me, if I feel her, and then we'll have a conversation. Yeah. And then after we have a conversation, I'll deduce whether like, you know, but we can't
deduce, I love that word.
Right? Like I can't, you know, find out if this is worth putting more time into if we don't talk, you know?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're good looking. Like the way you look doesn't define whether I'm willing to invest in you.
That's dope. I love that.
So it's just like it really mainly goes on like, because if I can't fuck with your personality, then I can't fuck with you.
Yeah, I love that for you.
But real quick, I want to hop back into, you talked about before how like TikTok and making all those stuff and focusing on pushing content and getting views and becoming viral really like messed with your like, you know, depression and like mental health.
Yeah.
What specifically about it was putting you down? Was it putting in the work? Was it like,
I want to answer that, but I have to pee really badly.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. He'll be right back.
It's been real.
I'll do like a quick little chat with them and like you know, catch up with them.
Nature is calling very loudly. My back pain just went away. I feel so good. Oh my god.
So guys, if you're listening, not editing this part out, just gonna conversate with y'all real quick. If you haven't yet, press the subscribe button, comment please. And actually what I haven't had people been doing lately is review the podcast. How you feel about the podcast. You could go on Apple Podcasts, you could go on Spotify now, lets you rate podcasts as well. Rate it 5 stars, rate it how many stars you like, and leave a little review and comment and let me know how I'm doing. Really trying to put so much into this. I have a lot of great content coming out until the end of the year. I have a couple more artists coming on. I have a couple we have a comedian in the works. We might have a streamer in the works. I don't know. But yeah, guys, while we're waiting for Ethan to finish up over there, just please comment, subscribe. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know how you guys are doing. And let me know what I could do better to interact with you guys. I have been thinking about putting up a Discord. I have been thinking about like other ways. Maybe I will do like a live stream once a week, maybe do call-ins and see how you guys feel about, just interacting more. I really want to start building more of a community aspect. There's also going to be a big announcement at the end of this year, maybe at the beginning of this year, that will talk about not only the podcast but the artistry of everything that I'm doing as a whole. But yeah, that's mainly that. And then yeah, guys, let me know how you're feeling about Ethan in the comments down below. Let me know if it's strange that he's in the bathroom and I'm talking. Last time someone did this was when I had Sir King on, and he was like, "Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom." I was like, "Yo, go ahead." And then I cut that part out, but I don't feel like cutting this out. I feel like we're just being real. Keeping it raw, keeping it real. I'm running out of things to say. I'm a talker, but I'm running out of things to say. Real quick, when he gets back, we're going to talk about his mental health in TikTok, and then we're going to get back to talking about his milestones, because I really am interested to see like when he started getting those big numbers, like how did that affect him? Did it affect mainly? Because it seems like right now he's very much connected to the numbers, but connected to numbers almost like a product of his work, which I feel like is a very healthy way to go about it. Before I was kind of thinking like, you have an ego when you get numbers. It's just really interesting to my brain because like I said, before this podcast, I didn't have anybody who had as much massive numbers as him. So it's interesting to kind of move forward and, kind of get perspective on that. But I think he's finishing up here. You're going to hear the probably the hand dryer. No hand dryer. It's coming in with wet hands, fellas. I know he just wiped it on his pants. My boy, take a seat whenever you want, bro. You could hop in back whenever you want.
Oh my goodness.
How you feeling?
Amazing.
Was it a nice piss?
Oh yeah.
I feel like pisses like low key are the most underrated feeling of like relief.
Yeah. I want to say this. Low key had to do more than that too, but that can wait because want to be time appropriate.
Word. We probably got like another like half hour to 40 minutes.
Oh, I love that. I'm not in a rush at all.
Word.
It's not one of those situations.
Word.
If it was, I would be upfront about it.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
When nature calls, it calls.
You got to respond. You got to respond.
I've literally hung out with people, girls too, and we'd be like out on a hike or whatever, and we just like, all right, we both gotta pee. Let's just
go and then come back.
Yeah.
I actually I've talked about this on podcast before. I was gonna say I'm very good at holding my pee, but if you look back,
for being at concerts or something.
I'm just like I'm good at holding my pee. Like if I drink a lot, but when I have to go, I have to go.
Yeah.
And I pissed myself in Miami, but that's a story that you could look up. We could talk about that after the podcast. Yeah, because I talked about it. I talked about it in depth with who I forget who I was. Tyreek is a podcast I just did recently. Dope ass artist.
I don't know them.
But yeah, I just talked about it with him, and I told him how I like to piss myself in Miami, so it was pretty funny.
That's a really cool story.
Back to talking about TikTok. So your mental health. You said it was really deteriorating at one point, when you're doing this and you're focused on being viral. I
feel like my mental health is just performance art at this point. Like the display of my mental health is performance art for my fans and like the supporters.
But I think it's very important to talk about because you talked about I think on Sully's how like you
I joke about it a lot. I make it a joke. I make humor of it on purpose.
But you do see a therapist, no?
Yes.
And do you still see him now?
Yes.
Word. So what was it like? What was happening in your mind really like when like what was do you look back and do you know the cause of the breakdown of mental health? Like what was it specifically? Because I know you were talking about depression, you were talking about anxiety. Like what about the TikTok era was bringing you down?
So my boy Cam Steady, amazing artist, fantastic, and a YouTuber. But the thing is, he actually makes great music. So the YouTube is taking off, but his music is great too. So this dude knows what he's talking about, right? Been following him on Twitter. He posted a graph. And I'd have to dig through my camera roll to find the graph. But the graph, it shows the progression of an artist in their career. There's one of the first steps, it's called Mount Stupid, where the chart, there's a huge spike, gigantic spike, and they call that Mount Stupid. It's when the artist knows very little, but is in a stage where they have insane confidence. Like a level of confidence that you don't achieve again until you achieve sustainability. So I was there in 2018 at what they call Mount Stupid. I forget who made the graph. Masterpiece. I need to share that. We need to figure out a way to share this.
That's cool. You can email it to me and we'll post it up right here.
Yeah. I think you'll love to see it. So I was really confident and really stupid. Great combination. Then it was like Death Valley, or the Valley of Death, is when the spike ends and you go all the way down. You're all the way down. You're the lowest you've ever been. At around that time, crazy enough, my grandfather passed away. And me and him were close, but not super close.
And this was during the TikTok era?
A few months before.
Okay.
So he passed away October 2018. Seeing my whole family in tears at a funeral for the first time ever traumatized me. More so than losing him. It was seeing the way everybody reacted. And it was the guilt of me not crying, but everybody else was. It felt fake. Not that everybody was faking it, but it literally felt like I was in a scripted TV show where like a writer was writing in things that were happening and I was just there. It was really disturbing, just the way my mind was taking in everything. Like me just comforting my grandma and me trying to comfort my dad, like unsuccessfully. I was like trying to be motivational and he was being nice about it, but he just wasn't trying to hear that shit. And me, I was just holding in all my emotions, you know, not processing anything, really dealing with it in an unhealthy way. So that shit, it sent me into just like an emotional spiral for the next couple months. I was just at a low point. I was also growing my hair out super long. I'm growing it out now too, but like at the time I kind of like had this sort of very disheveled look about me, always wearing a huge jacket. Really just to myself. I didn't want to show my face much, didn't want to show myself as much. I was getting very depressed. I needed a way out. I needed something to give. I was tired of something. I don't know what it was, but I was in a very dark place. My grandma, we were trying to comfort her because, you know, her losing her husband, it was crazy. So my family, we were kind of getting closer in a way. It was great for that, but, you know, it sucked that he passed away. Mm-hmm. I wanted him to stick around, and so we could like build more. We had a language barrier. He spoke Russian and I spoke English. So yeah, it was fucking me up though when he passed away, especially over time. And then when I started opening it up to my dad and being like, yeah, like I'm upset that he passed away, my dad was like, oh, but I thought you weren't bothered by it. And I was like, you know, I tried to make it seem like that. I tried to be the strong one, didn't work. Then my parents started asking me to go back to college, and I was like, I don't know how I could do this. So I needed something to give. I needed something to work. My songs, I kept uploading them on SoundCloud. I'd get some views here and there. I'd gain a few fans here and there, but nothing crazy like that. So like a month or two later, after me just, why am I losing my train of thought right now?
You were going into, your parents wanted you to go back to college.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of chronology. Mm-hmm. A lot of like trying to chronologically piece shit together without being boring.
Take your time, dude. Take your time.
I'm trying to keep it spicy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not talking in like a straight line right here. Okay, so January was cool. I had a little job. February was cool. Still had that job. It was dope. 2019 had just begun. Do you know Trippy Draws?
Trippy Draws? No, but it's familiar because I did when I was like, you know, looking you up and stuff like that. You had talked about this person. Is that the YouTuber person? Or
when did I talk about Trippy Draws? I don't think I ever touched on that subject.
Is it a YouTuber? Or is it
She's everything. She's like
it's a TikToker, very popular on TikTok.
Oh my God,
really
she's
popular on
gigantic
YouTube.
on TikTok.
Yes. I don't know if you talked about this on Sully or you talked about this on another podcast, but I did hear about it.
Probably another one, but I love her. She's amazing. Like love Trippy Draws.
And she's from Jersey too. She's from Jersey. She's from
out west.
Out west. Okay, where
she's from out west. I should stop talking about town names. Yeah, so she's from out west, right? So always really liked her. So we had a mutual friend, right? Mutual friend brought us over there. She was like, Ethan, get on TikTok. She would always be like, Ethan, get on YouTube. Now she's like, get on TikTok. I'm like, okay. I was over her house. This was like beginning of March already. So I was just still kind of just throwing darts out with the music. Didn't really know what the fuck I was doing. She was like, upload on TikTok. I was like, okay. I didn't want to, but I did. Went viral. First day.
This was the Wendy's.
How you know that? You scroll to the bottom of my TikTok?
I do. I looked at everything and listened to
everything.
Crazy.
I dated this girl, not Trippy Draws. I dated another girl like this year. And she was looking at my TikTok and noticing how small my recent views were. And she's like, Ethan, I have a question. I'm like, what's your question? She's like, why do you have 100,000 followers on TikTok? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bitch, did you scroll?
Yeah.
Take your index finger and just go like this 10 times or 5 times. She's like, why do you have I'm like in my head, I'm like, me and this girl, we talk and she just doesn't know.
Yeah, she just doesn't. The people.
I'm like,
but isn't that crazy though? That's the effect.
You're that interested in why my followers are there, but you don't even care to know how.
It's too much. The muscles on the fingers is just too much. You know what I mean? Not everybody works out that much, you know, to be able to.
Yeah, I guess
to
not.
do that.
Me, I mean, I like to give myself some finger workouts. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Gotta keep more than my brain sharp. You know, you just gotta.
So you made this and was that the first TikTok that you made?
That was the first one ever. So yeah, like it's confusing for people now. Obviously, that girl, I'm not referring to her as a bitch. All love and all respect, but I'm saying it's annoying when people question me about why I have all those TikTok followers. I'm like, yo, dude, or whoever the fuck I'm talking to, literally just scroll. Because if you see the first 10 videos on my TikTok, it becomes super apparent why. Yeah. All those followers funneled in from like my first batch of videos. That's literally where they came from.
Yeah.
I was at like 90K in a couple months, barely. Like by that summer, I was like going by summertime because I was.
And it's pretty insane to see it. And really quick side comment before you continue. We almost could have crossed paths and we were in the vicinity of each other because I told you that I worked at the Cinnabon in Livingston. I worked there as like a stand-in when like a manager couldn't be there.
Are you older than me?
I'm 24.
Jesus Christ, you're younger than me.
Yeah, I'm 24,
Holy
but
shit.
December 24th is.
So then you might have not seen me because when I used to go to the Cinnabon, I was way younger.
No, I worked at Cinnabon from 2016 to 2020.
Oh yeah, I definitely saw you.
I was the manager there.
Jesus Christ,
like, I was the manager.
I might have actually seen you.
So we were definitely.
I don't get Cinnabon. I mean, I love Cinnabon.
And funny enough, like I was looking at you.
Oh, with
like,
the cum icing.
No, you're right. You're right. You're not wrong.
Oh my
God,
bro. That shit, the consistency is just wild, dude. Bro. I'd be like, what am I doing to myself?
Yeah, dude. It is wild. But
Gets freaky over there.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like while I'm mainly in the food court, you know what I mean? I'm in the back office doing stuff and, you know, I'll be cooking up front, but I'm never like in the food court. But it was cool seeing you at that Wendy's because like I was chill with the manager there. I was chill with
Wendy's?
The Wendy's in the Willowbrook. Isn't that where you did it?
What do you mean you saw me there?
No, like it would have been cool.
I thought you meant in person. No. Like, so I'm like, why didn't he say anything?
It would have been cool to see you, like, you know, because I know at that time, I was chill with everybody in the food court.
You know who facilitated that video, right?
Margie.
Oh, she told you?
No, I'm good. I do my research, dude.
Did I credit her? I credited her.
You did credit her.
I like to give my credit. Yeah,
Margie's dope.
Bro, I love Margie. She's so cool.
Yeah, and I like the whole story. If you didn't, I don't know what.
Me and Margie have some really silly little debates.
Yeah, dude. No, Margie's a cool person to talk to.
We have some silly little conversations.
But let's get back to so you were taking this first TikTok video. I know that you don't have to say the whole story and how it happened because if you do want to see that, either go to I can't remember if you said on podcast or another podcast, but I will tag the link below where he says the story and I'll time mark it too. But
dog.
So
I made that video before Trippy told me to upload it. Word. So Trippy Draws was just like pushing me to upload in general. Mm-hmm. But the video was already done because at that point in my life, I was going with the flow. So when I met up with Gino, Margie, and Natalie, and Margie was like, Ethan, go rap for Wendy's. I'm like, okay. So I did it. Following week or like extra week later, Trippy Draws was like, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, uploaded everywhere. I'm like, fuck it. Went viral first day. I remember talking to my friend Sinem, who we don't really talk as much anymore. Like great person, nothing against her. I like reached out. She kind of just like doesn't want to talk to me. Some people like that, where like you'll be really close with someone and then you try to like spin the block a few years later. They're like, no.
Relationships are like this, bro. They come back and forth, bro. They come back and forth.
Yeah, it'd be like that. It's whatever. So I was texting Sinem. I was like, I'm nervous right now. I'm going viral. Like, what the fuck? She's like, don't be nervous. The world is just becoming aware of who you are. And I'm like, wow, that's a relaxing way.
Wow, that's great. No, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I miss talking to her. She always had great wisdom and shit. But, what should I call it?
So you're starting going viral?
Yeah, started going viral. So, of course, in my brain, I'm like, okay, this is what's working. I have to keep doing this. I put the music almost on a back burner for a little bit, just so I could focus on continuing to be a viral freestyle rapper. I was having the high of my life. I was pulling up to all these colleges.
Props on the freestyles too. I'm not gonna lie, like that whole thing that you were doing there was fire. And what's really cool is that you were at William Patterson, and that stage that you performed at in that cafe that has the fake Starbucks. You have a TikTok video
The fake
there.
Starbucks?
It's not a fake Starbucks, but it has a Starbucks logo on it. But
He's talking about Tim Hortons.
Yeah, they
I love Tim Hortons though. No shade.
No shade. No shade
I actually think Tim Hortons might be better than Starbucks.
Low key, I don't have enough Tim Hortons around me.
I feel like
go
their
try.
food and baked goods are better than Starbucks.
Most likely, yes. I don't really like Starbucks' food.
I like
baked
Starbucks
goods.
coffee though.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And they have this one sandwich with chicken and bacon that's kind of banging actually.
Chicken, is it on the ciabatta bread?
Yeah.
It's
Oh man.
That shit
Okay,
got
I
me a
take
little
back
slutty.
what I said. I think they're both fire. I want commercials and ads with everybody. Don't beef with me. I don't want to beef with restaurants.
But you performed in that little cafe in William Patterson, and I saw a video. And you know what's very funny is because I was at William Patterson.
I was in a
during the
black
time.
T-shirt, right?
I can't remember what you were wearing, but I saw you performing, and
I had a guitar player next to me.
Maybe.
Bro, we were wreaking havoc, bro.
It's crazy.
We were going place to place.
This is like you went to Keene before. You went to
CCM, County
Montclair.
College of Morris.
Yes.
Bro, I pulled up in that cafeteria, just one table, two table, three tables, walking up to people being like, oh, he got the green hat. Wait, I didn't mean that. He got a red backpack. And I'd just be like saying random stuff and people be like, wow, who is this guy? And then people in the comments would be like, whoa, it's Sean White. It's Carrot Top. Lil Dicky. And I was like always getting the little Harry Mack. It was like, bro, he's Harry Mack.
Oh, dude.
Yo, he's a redhead. That's crazy, bro. And I was like, word. So it's working temporarily.
So those comments, like, how did that make you feel during that time? Was it like
Not surprised. Not surprised. I mean, it's not people there for the music. It's people there for how you look like and what you're doing. So it's very surface. It's not people that like I feel like they know me. It's people I feel like they don't know me.
Yeah.
And even when it's hate, it's like I would get bored. Especially I lived out with a few of my friends at the time. And when I would get depressed and bored, I would go through my old comments and just to make myself feel better, just clap back at people, even months later. And I'd be like, this is pointless. Because all these people that post hate, even people like, oh, he sucks, or I'd punch him if I saw him, just commenting back shit like, yeah, like I dare you, pussy. It's like, what does that do? Because I'm never going to see this person.
See, yeah, it just feels like a waste of energy.
All these people don't know me. They probably will never see me. And even if they did, nothing would happen. So it's just like the hate comments and all the comments, they feel very impersonal. So like now when I get comments based on the music, I feel warmth. It's like super gratitude I have for that because it feels like people care. So when people like, Ethan, I love this song. I'm like, wow, this is what I wish I had in 2019.
Word.
A lot of the things I have now are what I wish I had during the TikTok viral era.
So that TikTok viral era, again, like, so you're started getting videos popping off. You're going to these different, schools and rapping and
Fast food establishments.
You're in the Willowbrook
Dunkin'
Mall.
Donuts, I did probably twice.
Yeah.
Blaze Pizza.
How did it feel doing those? Because you know what? Like, it's funny. Jersey doesn't really have like a TikTok culture like it is in the West Coast.
I don't think we need one.
I don't think we need one either.
It's a different type of state too.
Yeah, it's a different type of vibe. And it's almost weird because if it's dope, then people will kind of fuck with it.
Yeah.
But I've never gone to like an area where like, if you came up to me
Not
and
area
I
bound.
wasn't,
It's not area bound. Nothing is, I think.
yeah. Well, the cultureness of in general in Jersey, right? I feel like we don't fuck with that as much.
But what is Jersey culture? Because to some people, the sound of Jersey is like Jersey club or Jersey drill type music.
Well, I will say this. I won't define what the culture is, but I will say what I don't see a lot of, which I don't see a lot of people who are doing like TikToks on the streets or like people who are super viral on TikTok. Like, I don't think there's anybody on TikTok right now who's super viral for doing a whole bunch of viral videos specifically in Jersey. But also like, because when I saw that, it was very weird and surreal for me.
I understand.
Yeah,
now. I get what you're saying now.
It was very weird and surreal for me seeing you do that because I was seeing you at these colleges that I go to. I saw you at the mall that I work at, right?
Yeah,
but the thing that was cool about it was that
I don't know if I did one in Livingston Mall.
No, I worked in Willowbrook mainly, right? I just went to Livingston as a stand-in sometimes.
Cinnabon at Willowbrook.
That's where I mainly was at. Yeah.
How often did you see me?
I didn't see you. That's what's interesting
We
to
in
me.
the Twilight Zone right now.
It was weird because, like I said,
This is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
You went to William Patterson when I was at William Patterson as a student, dude. Like, you were performing in that calf, and probably the next week after you did your thing was the first time that I
To my
performed
fans
something.
watching this, it's really funny because there's a college called William Patterson, and everybody thought that I was a student, but instead I would show up uninvited every time, and people would think I went there.
That's crazy.
But I would just pop out and just like act like I belonged.
We might have even ran into each other and not even known it, which I'm almost positive probably happened.
I was just there for the clout, really.
Mm-hmm.
I was just there to grab supporters, to be like, yo, listen to my music.
And that's
people were
interesting.
like, yo, you're like one of us. And I was like, I don't go here.
You performed at the William Patterson Spring Jam, no?
No.
No, you didn't do that?
No, I played a bunch of other shows there, though. I played in like the downstairs one and the upstairs one and the Palladium, not Palladium, the Auditorium. Nah, it was like the recreation rooms, big, huge room. And I was just like turning up. We would all turn up. Me, Ray Bentley, T. Femi.
Ray Bentley is somebody who I'm familiar with too.
Yeah.
Because he was in the music program. I was always there and I always see him perform. He has all those rings. Still does a lot of rock stuff, right?
Yeah,
dude.
Gino 5 was always around. Gino 5, that's my bro.
Yeah.
That's big bro right there.
I just got familiar with Gino 5 after the first podcast I did on Mad Minds.
Yeah.
But I like Gino. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, me and Gino kind of came up together. It's crazy because our music styles couldn't be more different than they are. But like he helped me as an artist.
Word.
Kind of get a grasp on what I was capable of. Bro literally like without knowing he did it, he helped me shine a light on myself. And he was like, yo, Ethan, like you got to just get out there, do you for all these people. He encouraged it. And I'm happy he did.
Word.
Good guy.
Real quick, I want to get into your music at least a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't discussed much of the music.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What
Real
the
quick,
fuck we've been talking about?
We've been talking we've been going all over the place. But
Damn,
I
what
will
the
tell you
hell?
what, it's come around the central idea between like your mental health on TikTok, because I was trying to get a little bit more of that, but it's cool because I think going into your milestone. So after your kind of TikTok,
The mental health damage is more like the long term that happened later on in the unsustainability or is the word insustainability or unsustainability?
insustainability.
The lack of sustainability.
The lack of sustainability. That's
Yeah, when the lack of sustainability started kicking in and I started to run myself dry, that was when I was like, yeah. It's hard.
Real quick, because we'll end the TikTok kind of segment here. I want you to
there's a
talk
lot
about
you
little
can say.
about. I'm gonna play the video right now for the people who are watching. But I want to talk about, or I'll leave a link to it. You did a freestyle in front of Snoop Dogg.
Yes, I did.
How did that come about?
I also did one for Dennis Rodman, Charlemagne the God. I freestyled for like Billie Eilish's tour manager.
Word.
Snoop Dogg. Who the hell else? Bro, I freestyled for like
So,
a
but
bunch
that Snoop Dogg one is on TikTok.
Yeah.
So how did
It was on Instagram. It was super viral on Instagram.
how did that come about?
Oh, I was involved with an organization. Still cool with the people involved. I was a public speaker in the diversity organization. So we had a project that we were working on in the YouTube headquarters, which I was blessed to be brought into so early on in my career. So we were in the YouTube headquarters, and Snoop Dogg just that night happened to be having an event. So of course, my boy's dad was like, Ethan, you know what to do. I was like, yeah, let's run it. So I was like, I rapped for Snoop Dogg. We got it on video. Got a really cool picture with Snoop Dogg. That was a huge high of that type of content for me. That was a huge milestone.
Yeah,
it wasn't a musical milestone at all because this was completely separate from my songs. But as like a freestyler, as a TikToker, as an Instagrammer, this was like a crazy clout moment.
Yeah, and you know what's funny?
And Snoop Dogg was just kind of chilling. He would just
Yeah.
like whatever about. He was like with it because he's a
probably
nice
high as
guy.
hell. Yeah,
he's
he's
probably
probably-
high, nice guy. He was just like, yeah, sure, do your thing. But
Yeah.
for me, I was treating this like this was like crazy moment.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah, I think it's funny because I don't look at stuff like that as in like that gives somebody more clout to me, but I also just think those stuff is just kind of cool. You know what I mean? I think it's cool.
that's
to
a
be,
healthy way to
yeah,
look at it. For me at the time, I was really trying to grow.
Yeah, and
So-
I feel I could see how that could be too. You know, and that's why even
Less healthy to look at it that way.
yeah, I think like, you know, when I was telling you the example before of the guy who was telling me he was working with all these names, I was just like, yo, dude, like that's all really like clout driven.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like how are you?
So here's the thing. It's cool you got the names. Who are you?
Yeah, right.
Okay, you worked with him, and him. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. And sometimes your first impression, it's not even just first impression, but how you treat somebody, right?
Yeah.
Is very important. And I think
Oh my
sometimes
God.
people forget how easily that's fucked up, like in the industry. And sometimes I even let my ego get the best of me too.
Same.
Yeah,
I've been there.
And I think you know, yeah, I think people really just need to kind of fix their approach sometimes and how they approach other people, and like more look at them as a human
Instead of a
than,
business transaction.
yes,
Like, yeah,
yes.
dog, like I'm a human. I eat food and go to the bathroom and go to sleep. I'm not just your fucking potential future business partner. You can go suck a dick.
Yeah.
Not you, but just people who approach me with that. They're like, yo, Ethan, let me take your number. I'm like, for what? Just to like have conversations? Like, no, I want to do business with you. I'm like, no, you don't need my number.
You know what? And that's funny.
And I was literally in that situation. I'm like, you don't need my number. What are we going to do? Like, you want to call me? We could talk about hot dogs.
Have you?
Like, I'd rather do that than be like, Ethan, I want to form a partnership with you. It's like, dog, why are we making everything so cringe? Everything has to be business and partnership. It's like, bro, it's art. It's music. Let's stop turning it into this weird political thing where everybody's like, let's do some business. Like, me making a song with you is not necessarily the same thing as me doing business with you. That can be handled in a separate way. It's why we have managers. It's why we have separate conversations. It's why we have boundaries. It's why we have contracts.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
All of these other factors.
Man, I gotta save something that's on my mind. We'll talk about it after the podcast, 'cause I think it'll be really interesting to talk to you about. Take me back real quick to, and then we'll move into your music after you finish this. The milestone.
Forgot I even make music.
The milestone you had with, okay, so you were talking about like how there's little milestones. What led to like the biggest success in numbers? Where was the first time you had a big success in numbers? Did it happen like overnight, or did it happen linearly? Like, lead me to that first big milestone. Take me from there.
It was like a 3 to 4 month span between my first two really big moments. I did one freestyle. One. Out of all the ones I did, this one was special. This one had a certain energy to it where, mind you, I did something weird. I tried to replicate it directly replicate it multiple times after. It didn't work because the type of energy that was captured in this video was rare and hard, nearly impossible to replicate. I showed up to MSU, Montclair State University, on a very busy weekday. It was like a Wednesday or some shit. I was just pulling up. I ran into Salo the Sav. Great guy, amazing guy. Nice shoes, by the way.
Thank you.
Ran into Salo. I was like, bro, I'm just meeting you now, but I fuck with you. Feel like we have an energy between us. I trust you to film this video for me. Handed him the phone, or he used his. I was like, I turned to the camera. We winged the whole thing. I delivered this really, really like, there was an energy about this freestyle that was different. Like, if you watch the video, you'll feel like the whole thing is scripted and staged. It wasn't. All I did was I found a few different tables of people in the cafeteria, super busy, and I asked for their consent beforehand to be rapped to. I was like, are you okay with me putting you in this video and freestyling to you? And they all said yes.
Dope.
Brought Salo to the end of the calf. I'm like, bro, we're going in. We were treating it like it's war. We were like ready to go to war. Busy ass cafeteria. I had no mic. I never used one. I was like, we just trusted that people would be able to audibly hear every word I said. So we winged the whole thing. That video went ultra viral on like YouTube. Might have been on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, few mil. This video alone just went absolutely crazy. Girls liked it, guys liked it, everybody else liked it, everyone loved it. This video, and it almost didn't happen because I almost said fuck it and didn't do it. This video, this specific freestyle, the type of virality that this one had a different sort of power. So there was that freestyle, and then after times where I tried to copy it and replicate it, I realized that energy was one of a kind. So that's what led me to realize, okay, the freestyle thing is starting to dwindle a little bit because I had a few great moments. Now, got to move on. So I did start putting my all into the music again come like July 2019. Made a song called Tidal Waves over like a Shiloh Dynasty sample beat. Really fire.
By the way, real quick, I just want to say that way that you realize that you need to stop pushing. Well, because it's weird.
It was really bittersweet, bro. It felt like I was putting a dog to sleep.
I know how that is personally.
Or like you watch the end of a movie. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, snap.
No, it's cool. I was just being a dick.
That's heavy.
No, it is heavy, but it's cool. I'm cool with all that stuff.
Okay.
But I will say this. It's really interesting because there's almost like a switch now in TikTok too. And I won't dive too deep into this, but like how some people, like you ever see, you're into TikTok now, right?
I watch it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, you ever see that guy who's like, I'm stronger, I'm better, you ever see that TikTok? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'll show you after this, but this guy literally, where you feel like that finally dwindled, he would just find more and more ways to be more creative. And now he's been doing it at least literally the same concept content, right? And this is not even, at least with freestyling, right? That's coming off the head. And you might repeat some rhymes, but it's in the moment. Like every situation is different.
Oh, yeah.
He's literally using the same sound and just doing different things to it and putting different captions. And it's got him to the point where he's been doing it so long. He's probably been doing the same piece video content, same idea around for like at least 6 months. And now he's like met The Rock. He's done it next to The Rock. He did it with Mr. Beast.
That's crazy.
And now not only that, like he switched it. Sometimes he would put different captions. He did one in Spanish. He did one in French, right? And it's like, it's weird because in that moment where he saw his numbers dwindle, he just kept pushing it, right? Yeah. But I think sometimes it's smart because maybe that's his thing and he's not working on anything else. And it's like good for him, right?
Yeah.
But to want to switch from that like freestyle and then just focus back on that music, I think that's a really important thing for artists to realize, especially like if you're doing the TikTok thing, which is why I'm kind of scared to use TikTok and like feed off of that, even though my content is kind of very
You just need to remember what's really important to you.
Yeah.
I remember that the music was important to me because I started seeing it with my own 2 eyes.
So you just finished saying that. So you were feeling bad. It was a bittersweet kind of.
This is your
close
water?
to it. That's yours.
Fire.
You kind of had a bittersweet end to it, and then you realized that you need to focus back into the music. Go ahead.
So as the freestyle thing was starting to get cornier and dwindle, and I started to enjoy it less. This was like upon my whole like valley of death part in the chart.
I meant that to hit the couch. And I just threw it
cool. That was fun though. It's cool. I like it. It's spicy.
I'm so sorry.
It's a little spicy.
Go ahead.
But yeah, this was like still in the valley of death part of the chart, where after Mount Stupid, the peak ends, you go back, you're down at the bottom. So musically, I was like depleted of inspiration, but I was still finding a way to just make new songs. I made a song called Katana. So that song busted the door open. For real. That song went viral first day on YouTube because Promoting Sounds posted it with a really well-made AMV. And this was around the time when Promoting Sounds had a lot of weight. They still have a lot of weight.
AMV? What's an AMV?
Like an anime music video.
Okay, word.
Yeah. At the time, Promoting Sounds was blowing up Arizona Zervis. You know, Roxanne. Yeah. She just wanna party something all night. Love that song. So he was blowing up around that time. Trevor Daniel. Do you know Falling by Trevor Daniel? My last made me feel like I would never try again, but when I saw
Such
you.
a catchy song.
So he was blowing up around that time too. And also, you know, they were posting a lot of like Black Bear, a lot of who else? People in that lane of like sensitive, emo rap leaning melodic pop music from like independent artists. So Katana got on there at the time when Ian Dior was starting to blow up too. Ian Dior and 24K Golden, Poor Stacy, all of those guys at around that time. The whole emo rap wave was taking off at the time when Katana was posted on Promoting Sounds. So my timing was built up to this impeccably because I was like slowly but surely starting to refine my vocal presence on the microphone in terms of like how we were using the layers, how we were using the auto-tune, what my preset was doing. I developed this certain like slightly grungy but slightly poppy sound with my vocals that was like a little bit akin to Lil Peep, a little bit slightly like it, but then more leaning towards like Black Bear and Ian Dior. So we had created this sonic middle ground between like a mainstream sort of style and like an underground sort of style in terms of like the lo-fi and the hi-fi. And then there was Katana. We made Katana, and at the time, Katana just felt like the perfect sort of emo rap song for me to make. And we made that song trying to just make a pop hit, like a Lil Tecca type song, like a Ransom by Lil Tecca type song. We weren't trying to make like an emo rap song, but then the song just busted through the gates in the emo rap community, and all the people who like had their ears to the scene started hearing that song, and that song just blew the fuck up. One day into being out, like I literally put that song out on SoundCloud and the song was blowing up in a day. People on Instagram were going crazy over the snippet. Local people, not local people, my actual fans, and then just people I knew. Everybody together was like, okay, Ethan, this one is different. This is different from, you know, the TikTok videos are cool, all that's cool, but this is like a newfound strength in songwriting. So me and Tom, we were so geeked over this. This shit was like a rebirth of my career as an artist, this song, Katana. So like, dude, the doors swung open. I started to release like at least one song a month. I started to like talk to more artists from the scene, bigger artists like Lost with an X. We were cool. I became friends with Killbunk, who at the time was way bigger than me. Still way bigger. I mean, dude's at like 3 million monthly listeners. Killbunk is huge. So yeah, at the time, me talking to Killbunk and these other people was crazy. Because I was like, yo, like these people I was just listening to on SoundCloud are now like peers I talk to on the phone with who like help me and give me advice and shit. So that song, Katana, man, oh man, the numbers were just representative of the upward trajectory. The numbers meant so much for that song because the numbers represented that I felt within I was doing the right thing. Because now looking back, am I like in love with the song? But do I think it's objectively good? Yes. I think that's a great song. And over 3 years later, the song still does very well. It's on track to hit 10 mil on Spotify in like the near future. And I'm proud of it. And I think, you know, me and Tom, we don't really talk anymore, but Tom, I think, is proud of it too. Me and Tom got in the studio. We did something real special. So no matter where me and him are at, when we link up again, if we do, whichever, I'm sure we'll be able to have a moment, be like, bro, that song Katana will always be special. It did something for him, did something for me, did something for everybody involved. It was my first big streaming moment with music. So that song has a place in my heart. Always will.
That's an incredible story. I'm really interested before, because I'm trying to, I don't want to end the podcast too early, but so business wise now, how did you, because the TikTok, I think you realized obviously you had that high and you had that low, right? Obviously you had this high with Katana, right? But it's not like you sunk back down. Like you still have very good numbers on releases that you have.
My releases now perform way better than Katana ever did.
Really?
Talk
to me about that.
Oh, destroyed. Bro, Katana's not even in my top 5 anymore.
That's true. But it's almost 10 million streams, no, you said?
It's about like 7 mil.
Okay.
I'm saying near future is the next couple years.
Word. Yeah. I didn't peep Katana, but I've heard about it.
So if you really pay attention to data, you start understanding what songs and like why they do a certain number of streams a day. Like you look at the playlist they're on or like who's adding them, et cetera, how the algorithm's pushing them. Katana was on an upward stream. Sometimes it has little spikes and then it kind of stagnates and normalizes at like a lower number than it used to. Back before I was doing funk and like the darker rap music, Katana was responsible for half of all my streams.
Word.
Katana was like my big pusher. It was my big mover. It was my only one. Like all my eggs were in Katana because that was my only song that was resonating. And during that time, I'd have songs that could barely crack 1K a day, songs that could barely crack even 500 streams in a day. Meanwhile, Katana would do like 10K in a day. And like other platforms would be going crazy. Then after Never Break, ironically, I broke the whole barrier for myself. And then every song I released started to slowly but surely bury Katana. Because I have an obsession with competing with my old self. And every artist, I think, with a sort of healthy mindset, like Drake, of course, competes with himself. He's like, that's my hit. I want to bury my hit and like make more hits on top of it so people forget my old songs even exist. Like my goal was to make so much good new music that people forget my old music. And now Katana is like knocked out of my top 5 because I started making songs that just like blew up in different spectrums, different areas. And now the new fans and the new supporters and the new community that comes in, the love and the support and the like listenership, if that's a word, the viewership, whatever, is more supportive and it's stronger than it was for Katana. Because Katana, like, it earned me some fans and it earned me some people who really love what I do. But the new music, they are more invested in my career. They're more invested in where I'm going and they're more invested in the overall picture that I'm drawing because these songs create more of a consistent identity, a consistent story, something more interesting and creative, where Katana was just kind of like a wild card at the time. Even though my other like melodic emo pop songs after Katana, they did well sometimes, they would stagnate greatly because they didn't give people that much to grab onto. Now I'm giving more of myself, giving more of myself in a more interesting way that's interesting to me, trusting my own taste. So now Katana's getting beaten. All these songs are out streaming Katana. Katana has been out for over 3 years. So of course it has more streams than any song in my catalog, but Katana does not do as many daily streams
So question
as a
though,
lot of my songs.
Yeah. Question though. So what was it that you continued to do after Katana that kept you like not only relevant but like, you know, successful in the number game?
Just completely blind drive. Like they say, blind love. I just remained driven regardless of where the destination was, which was a problem at the time, sort of, but being driven period is good. So I was like, gotta keep going. Gotta just fucking foot on the gas, regardless what genre I'm making, just foot on the gas. I have to full send it.
So how many songs would you make? Like how many songs do you on average now like kind of make, I guess, like a month? Like how much work?
I don't count.
Okay.
I don't even make like that many. I just make enough, more than enough. Make a good amount.
So what is your workflow like? I know you say you take day to day, right?
Yeah.
But like for the people who like are looking at you and being like, yo, I'm like inspired by this man. Like what is it that you do that keeps it together and growing?
You need to have a personal system in place.
Like
Show up. Show the fuck up for yourself and for other people. Show up and understand that even if you're not in the mood to do it today, you're going to thank yourself later. It's like going to the gym. Creation should be the same thing. Making music should be the same thing. You have to make music by habit. I don't make music off of inspiration. I literally have a song that's going to be on my album where the opening line of the song, I think, is, I do not get inspired because I get tired and I get pissed.
Wow. Can you say that one more time?
I do not get inspired because I get tired and I get pissed.
Explain that.
I don't get inspired because I get tired and I get pissed. I get angry when I get inspired because I always fail to encapsulate exactly what it is in my head. So then by the time I actually make the music, I'm just making it. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. People are like, oh yeah, I had this beautiful idea in my head and I can't afford to bring it to life. Like, bro, just do something else. Doesn't have to be that. But people want to like attach extra sentiment, and that's where they fuck up. I know where to draw the line between the sentiment and the necessity. I have a necessity. I do music as a job. This is my full-time career. So I'll be damned if I show up to the studio and be like, oh, I'm not inspired today. Like, I have to make a fucking song. Have to keep making songs. It's the only way you sharpen your tools. My boy Andy, who I work with, he's a producer. He said, The way you just make dope shit is to keep making shit until you just come up with something. That's what I do. I'm like, if I keep making music, it's going to get good. It's like the fucking Pokemon move. It's like, you do the Pokemon move, a rollout. You know what that move is?
From which Pokemon?
I think it's a rock type Pokemon.
Yeah, is it that little like armadillo looking one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You do the rollout move. You don't get it right the first time. You do that shit until you get it right. Keep doing the rollout move. You get good at it. I didn't always like make good screaming music or make good aggressive music. I had to keep making it until I became good at it. I didn't immediately just know how to rap on funk beats. I had to experiment and keep doing it until I learned. So it wasn't always off of inspiration. It was off of like an assignment I gave to myself. It's like, okay, one of my goals for the month, I need to figure out how to make a song like this so that these beats I have, I can do them justice. So I figured it out. You just do something until you figure it out. But people think art is different from like other shit. So people are like, oh no, with art, it has to be this, it has to be, there's no should, there's no has. It just is. It's like you want to get good at something, you keep doing it till you get good at it. Like cooking too. You know? Or like my boy told me, like, if I took a break from rapping for 3 years, I'm not going to step in front of a mic and go God mode. That's literally what he told me. And I'm like, you're right. It's like, I was celibate for 5 years. You think I went God mode when I... You really think that's what happened? I got rude news for you if you think that's how that story went.
Yeah, I feel that.
So what happens if you just like, oh, I don't create unless I'm inspired? Like, you sound like a bitch.
Damn, you know what? I
don't create off of inspiration. I create off of necessity, off of animal instinct.
It's so weird, dude, because I think in another... This is funny because this kind of happened between us, like, during this podcast. In another world, I would disagree with you, but the way that you have explained it, like, it's no different than me doing podcasts, dude. Like,
it's no different from you, like, doing push-ups.
That's true, too.
Or from you literally, like, making oatmeal. My first time making oatmeal, do you think I knew how to make oatmeal? No, it's too watery or some shit. But over time, I was like, okay, I want it this level of thick when I have my brown sugar cinnamon flavor. You figure things out over time. Same thing with couples. Like, you guys figure you figure out each other's bodies. You figure out each other's personalities. You learn how to live together. You work on things over time. People just want to step in front of a mic first time and go God mode. People want everything right away. Like, it takes work to get good at something. So people shoot themselves in the foot by being like, oh, I can't do this. Create off a habit. Make shit. Just make stuff by habit. You'll eventually get good at it. For real. That's how I feel.
I think that's a great note to leave on the podcast.
Agreed.
I will say this. Please, we have to meet up again and talk because I really do want to get into music and get into other stuff. But I think that's a great note to end on. If you have one thing I want to ask to kind of leave because I feel like you'd say something dope.
Thank you.
No pressure.
Appreciate you.
For any of the artists who are listening to this podcast, is there any advice that you just want to leave them with real quick before we start signing out?
Trust your taste. Trust your own taste. And just trust that if you think something is dope, it's going to work just because of that. And don't try to alter it for other people. You'd be surprised how well it does if you just like do what you want regardless of what you think is like popping or whatever, because that really is how you get something popping, something popular is when it comes from you. It's how you set trends. Yeah.
My boy, please look at the camera and let the people know if you have any shout outs. Let the people know your whole socials, everything. Now is the time.
Shout out Baggage Claim, Sensu, Patrick, Mendicimo, Rocapara, Dolo Tonight. Everybody in Baggage Claim. Shout out the Cone Gang. I got a cone tatted on my leg.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Can you pull it up and show the camera?
Yeah. Right there. Can you see it?
I can't see it, but there's a camera.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, word. Blue
yeah,
cone,
bro.
Blue cone.
Yeah, no, my friends who steal cones, well, they don't steal cones. I steal cones.
Okay.
I'm incriminating myself. They don't steal cones. I steal cones. Yeah, it changed my life. Cone Gang.
And where can the people find you? Your social media, real quick.
At The Real Ethan Ross on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Deezer, whatever you use. Ethan Ross, ETHAN ROSS. YouTube, ETHAN ROSS. Ethan Ross, everywhere, all platforms. Love you.
Guys, y'all already know the business.
Album out December 9th.
Album out September, you said September 9th?
December 9th.
December 9th? That's a good name.
New song, Head First, November 18th, which is in like 4 days.
Sweet. Go stream December 9th. Guys, y'all already know the business. Ayoo Podcast, YouTube. Probably more on TikTok soon. Instagram. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. It really helps. And also, I know I mentioned it before while he was in the bathroom. If you can, leave a rating about the podcast on Spotify, on Apple. Let me know how I'm doing. And yeah, guys, that's all. Much love to all of you. Ethan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and blessing us with your presence. Let's get out of here, bro.
Let's get out of here.
Sweet, dude. Man. That was dope, man.
That was something.
How'd you feel about it, bro? Good?
Great. Yeah, that was awesome.
Great, dude. Fuck yeah, dude.